cloning. Secrets only the Sith knew.
Well, now everybody knows.
But now
because
they all
I'm
know.
Dr. Pershing, and I meant this only for good, and there are no parallels to the Nazis whatsoever with what I'm saying.
Pershing sounds a little bit like Hayden Christensen there.
Yes, you got the young
he's got
Hayden's
the-
more the
yeah.
sorry, master, and then
Sorry.
the older Harrison gets a little more. May
Getting
the
the-
force be with you.
Kind of a surfer guy a little bit.
Yeah, may the force
right.
be
Been hanging out
Sup,
on the
dude?
beach.
It was good to be back.
My
with
favorite's
you
the SpongeBob. Surf's up, dude. Oh, like the righteous dude. Oh, it's the best. Welcome back to the SpongeBob podcast. We are your hosts. Welcome back to the Star Wars guys.
We can't even get through the
I
intro.
just heard the faint Patrick right in the background. It was so good.
Gary. Gary.
It's a giraffe. Welcome back to the Star Wars Guys podcast. We are your hosts as always. I am Mike. Hello there. This is Nate.
Hello there.
And you know him well. Uncle.
I got nothing to add.
I'm
I'm gonna be back on my phone. I'm looking for something.
I like
It's
it.
important.
He's been searching for something.
He's been searching for his
The
family.
HoloNet.
I'm
For his
waiting
family.
for it to pop up on my phone.
Well, we've got a great podcast, hopefully.
Hopefully.
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. We're live.
crossed.
It could be our worst one yet.
Could be.
But we're expecting it to be great. We've got
Welcome
episode...
back.
Oh,
Welcome
yeah.
back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. If you guys are tuning in, you're watching. We like doing our
Or
stuff
listening.
live so that we can have engagement with you all. And if you want to join in on the conversation, let us know your thoughts. Ask some questions. If there's
yeah.
certain topics or a certain scene or something you want us to discuss in these episodes, let us know throughout the
Playing
show.
Stump the Star Wars guys today.
Stump the. Well, that would be
Ooh.
easy.
Stump the Star Wars guys.
I like
That'd
it.
be a scud and the skank pie of the Star Wars guys stumping.
Skank pie. Skank.
Those scud muffers.
Well, that's a real skankness goodbye.
We got scud muffers too. I don't think I've heard that.
Hey, we got J-Man
Scud
in the
Muffer.
chat. J-Man, Joe,
J-Man,
what's going on?
what's
Hey,
up?
yo,
Hey.
Saturday stream. I like it. What's
Saturday
going on?
stream.
What's going on?
Saturday stream.
Yeah.
I like it. We are... Is that your Saturday stream?
Saturday stream.
You can tell by the way we talk Star Wars, we're the Star Wars guys.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Well,
Yeah.
welcome back to the podcast where we are talking today about Episode 3,
Yep.
Chapter 19. We got to get back to talking chapter titles on
No,
this. I was
chapter
thinking about this.
19.
Remember how we
The
used
Convert?
to
Is that what it was?
go, ding,
We used
call
to have
back
a-
to our former selves, our
right,
previous
right. Episode
episodes.
chapter.
But The Convert,
Yeah.
we like to start, as always, with our overall thoughts. It's now been a few days. We usually don't get a few days to kind of
I
Yeah.
know.
really
I know.
It's
Uh,
marinate.
think about it.
We call
Marinate.
that Mando marination.
Mando
Marinating in the
marination.
Mando
Yes.
And
mindset.
with
Maybe-
that said, if you guys are watching and you like the Saturday, this time for the live
Oh, yeah.
showing, let us know
Yeah.
because we want to figure out what's most available for everybody else.
Yeah.
too.
Is it
That's right.
time work? Do we need Saturday mornings? We'll come in cartoon form.
Exactly.
That's right.
Saturday morning
That's right.
cartoon form.
We
I
got
like
Darth.
this.
We got
can do it.
Darth in the chat. Says, "Hi guys, finally I'm able to watch you live. Greetings from Poland. Welcome.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Thanks
Well,
for
maybe-
watching.
Thanks for tuning
Maybe
in.
this won't be the last time we do a little Saturday
Yeah, maybe.
Saturday Star Wars cast. Star
So
Wars
we'll
Guys
talk some
Saturday
Bad
cast. I don't
Batch.
know.
Obviously, we're going to talk some Mando Chapter 19
Yep.
review. What do we want to start with?
Well, we always like to start overall thoughts on the episode. We get into the specifics as our podcast episode goes along, but we like to start overall
Yeah, yeah.
thoughts. Like it, love it,
Want
struggle
some
with it,
more of it.
disliked it. Your favorite episode, not your favorite, somewhere in between. What are we thinking, Uncle? I looked at Nate. Ooh.
I knew it was
Ooh.
coming.
Well,
I sensed it.
Overall thoughts.
Well,
What'd you think?
let me just address the skank in the scud pie room. That rarely do the Star
love
Wars
this.
guys say hate it. Rarely.
Yeah.
that's true.
But today,
now.
Oh,
No,
I'm going to continue the tradition and say I loved it.
Oh, I love it.
But here's what some are saying. Why do we need 40 minutes of Pershing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need it because we are chasing two stories now.
Yes.
We're chasing two stories. We got Mando's path,
Yep.
but we got Grogu's path. Grogu is not a tag along anymore. Grogu is not a mysterious side story. We know he has a trajectory. We know there's a backstory, and we have to chase down both stories. It's going to be challenging, but Mando's had the majority of it.
Favreau kind of teased
I-
it preseason. Remember, he said
Yes.
he is
Yeah.
much more of a focal point of the story instead of just a
Bingo.
tag along character. So
And
Yeah.
but I loved it because of these connections that we're seeing, Easter eggs that were in there that you probably,
yeah.
I'm sure you guys saw.
And I
And
love Easter eggs.
callbacks,
it.
betrayal on two front. I just think it was great.
So
Yeah.
good.
We got maybe one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best space like dog fights we've seen in a
Absolutely.
while.
Gosh,
In atmosphere, we're not talking.
Yeah.
It's just
I
reminded
love
me of
it.
episode 7 with the time. It was
It
really
definitely
It was
did.
so good.
Felt
Yeah,
a
it
little-
reminded me also. You're saying episode 7, Ray with the
Yes,
engine
exactly. With the spin
right
and the
before it's
fall
too
and the
late. Yeah.
I had just
Ooh,
recently
so good.
finally watched Top Gun Maverick, and it felt a little Maverick-y as
Yeah,
far as
it
pulling
did.
the maneuver as well. But, I
Exactly.
loved it. That's I
Yeah.
love that specific scene. But
Yep.
moving on, I'll move on to myself instead of going on to
We're
Nate,
covering
since
ground
he
too.
stole it.
We are covering. I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
People say
we're
I wouldn't
moving.
need that. I think we're covering a lot of ground in what they're doing.
I think
I
so
think
too.
so, too.
I think so too. I also really loved this episode. I think that if I was to say, it's funny, about halfway through the episode, maybe not even that, maybe 15. I mean, we'll talk about this. I heard today. I knew that when we watched it, this was the longest episode we've had in a while, but it's actually the single longest Mandalorian episode we've ever got.
What did you guys do when
Wow.
you saw 58?
I saw
I
58 and I went,
55.
oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do think they can fit these episodes in short. I think next episode's a lot shorter. It's like 30 something.
Okay.
Whoa, spoiler alert.
Boo. I'm not watching it.
Yeah, you can skip.
That's a
that
real
one.
skank in the scud pie.
Bunch
But-
of scud muppers.
Even though I do think some of those shorter episodes, I'm like, wow, I can really like that episode.
Yeah.
I just because of how much we love Star Wars, of course, I want more time because
Yeah.
if it was 8 hours, I'd love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's when we have more time of Star Wars on screen. It doesn't mean it automatically means it's going to be a better episode or anything like that than a shorter one, but it does mean I'm getting more Star Wars.
We,
It's just-
we have a
right.
Kylo.
Facts,
We have a
is that-
Kylo Ren mindset when it comes.
Yeah.
Yes, more,
So-
more. 58 minutes more.
I don't have to do.
So no, I really loved it.
Look at you over there.
Like Uncle had already talked about, I know some people out there. I will say it surprised me that we went. It didn't. I really liked this surprise when I
Yeah.
looked at 58 minutes and thought, oh, this is. And then 15 minutes in the episode, I went, oh, this is not the episode I thought it
Yeah,
was.
No.
same, yeah.
Which I like being surprised like that.
Yeah.
And then midway through the Pershing story, I was like, well, I wonder at what point they're going to jump back. And then they just kept going, and I was
Yeah.
like, great, awesome.
Yeah.
When Pershing, this is still overall thoughts, but when Pershing appeared on the screen, I immediately went, yes, let's get back to that story.
Yeah, I want to hear.
So I know some
Yeah.
people felt a little bit, some people that I had heard who maybe didn't like the episode as much or didn't like
The
the
40-minute.
second. Yeah, didn't like the other storyline that was really going this episode. Some of them were like, "Oh, I wanted to just get back to Mando and Grogu," and I get that. Like, I love
Yeah.
Mando and Grogu also, but I had kind of the opposite reaction of when we went to Pershing. I actually immediately went, "Yes, finally." This is one of the big questions we've had since the very
Yeah.
beginning. Is
Yeah.
he was introduced in some of the earliest episodes. The first episode we see Dr. Pershing with it in the very first episode of the whole show.
Yeah.
Okay, they have
right.
for
Right.
cloning. There's all this stuff that's going on, but it's something that I thought was it was just really interesting that they stayed with it. We'll talk about the pace because I know a lot of people are also comparing the pace to a little bit more of Andor.
Yes.
I saw
Yeah,
someone.
I thought it felt very Andor.
Yeah, and obviously
Well, we're set there.
we're set
yeah.
there, and it's
Like a
and
time warp.
also now it's the politics, the politicking,
Right,
right,
the
right.
galactic stakes. Love that we got a look into some of the positives and maybe some of the shortcomings
Oh
of
my
the New
goodness.
Republic as to maybe why things
Yeah.
are better than the Empire, but why they don't last
Yeah.
very long, or why you can see some.
Seems like they're just taking anybody in.
Mhm.
You see some stuff. There's some real world stuff in there. Definitely some
Yeah.
World War II, like take the some of the Nazi scientists and use them for the space program
That's
because we
right.
have people who like for the greater good. We're all about the science and stuff.
Right.
There's some of that of well, I know you were forced to do some stuff, but also maybe we could use your talents.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll get into more specifics. But overall,
Yeah.
really like the episode.
Yeah.
Nate.
No, I agree. I love the episode. One thing I've always liked about Mando is it's different than the other shows, and they're all different for different reasons. But we always go back to Mando's always kind of been like episodic, like
Mhm.
this story, this kind of story, like mission based.
First
And I
person
think-
shooter.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this season is still on that path, but it's definitely following different segments, different people too throughout.
Yes.
So I think it's still doing that, but it's in different ways. Like the previous episode was we're going to the mines.
Mhm.
You know, we're going there. And so I like that one. We started right where we left off, and kind of had that dog fight and kind of
Mhm.
finished that, and then we jumped to Pershing. And again, kind of like Mike was saying, I was surprised at how much we got. I saw in the trailer for this season, that looks like some Coruscant. Maybe
Mhm.
we might be getting some of that. I was excited for it, but I didn't think we'd get like a lot of it.
Right.
I
Like, I
think we
thought it
get
would-
the actual opera house. They went back to
Right.
the opera house where Anakin and
Right.
Palpatine are
Palpatine.
having the
Exactly.
Plagueis
Discussion, yeah.
or the Plagueis conversation.
The tragedy of the neon
Pershing goes,
who
I worked for Darth. I worked for Darth Plagueis, but I was just doing it in the name of science. And all right, Pershing, easy, buddy.
Where can I find these neon popsicles, Master?
Neon popsicles are great.
I saw people
Melting.
comparing the color of them too,
Yeah.
and how she had a red one and he had a
Yeah.
blue one.
Oh.
They're like, okay, yeah, you're just
Come
what, we're
on,
holding
they're
our
giving
lightsabers
it-
out here.
Great.
They're-
Oh, okay.
Well,
Okay.
and they're giving us the
That's awesome.
they're
Literally
giving us
glowing.
the hint of she is still bad.
Yeah, yeah.
And Pershing, well, we'll find out. But,
Yeah.
or we won't.
But
Just
no, I loved it.
naive.
We'll dive more into it, but I really liked it. One of the things that I kind of had some interesting discussions with people on Twitter about the episode, which you kind of touched on a little bit a second ago, Uncle, is the two different plots, right?
Yeah.
And I had some discussions on Twitter, and it actually made me pose the question as a tweet of what is the main plot of this series? Is it the Mandalorians and what Bo-Katan's kind of talking about, the
Mhm.
regrouping and regathering of Mandalore and the Mandalorians and their way, and kind of all of them spread around the galaxy? Is that their mission, to kind of bring all that back and kind of start fresh and kind of rebuild? Or is it the Grogu, the cloning the DNA
Mhm.
aspect that we're seeing in part of this episode? Because both of those are stories that tie all the way back to the first episode.
Mhm.
The Mandalorian part has been more, forward centric, but the cloning stuff has kind of been dabbled in here and there, knowing that it's kind of an overarching theme for Grogu because Moff Gideon's after. So it's interesting, and I threw it out there. I was like, what is the main plot?
Yeah.
Is it this or that? And there's just, everyone was not debating, but people had a bunch of different points or views of like, oh, I think it's this, or I think it's, and there's not
Right.
nobody really had a
yeah.
set answer. I thought it was interesting that
What if
people
we
were
haven't
viewing
seen it
differently.
yet? What if we don't know what it
That's
is yet?
true.
So on-
Because
yeah.
Mando's story now, I mean, it's big. It's Mandalore, but in the galaxy, in the universe, it feels smaller
It
than
does.
Grogu's
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
It does.
Because this affects everyone.
Yeah.
Grogu's potentially affects how we get to Snoke too. Like
Yes.
there's like that type of cloning, evil
Huge.
cloning type stuff is galactic stakes.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm with
it
you.
Could be.
What's funny is I think we talked
combination.
about it on the podcast heading into the season, but we had even said, I remember a lot of people saying, like just fans saying, like, oh, what do we think we're coming this season? Obviously, this season feels like it's the reclaiming of Mandalore, who's going to be, the regathering of, rebuilding of the Mandalorian culture and taking, who's going to be on the Mandalorian throne and all that. And I remember thinking, and I think we even said on the podcast at the time, I thought, great, I don't think that that's it. Like, if it was, I think I would be kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel
not
like
that
it's
I'm not
bigger than
interested in that.
There's something else going on.
But we
Yeah.
had last season, we had literally Moff Gideon, Dark Troopers, Luke Skywalker. There's this bigger stuff.
You
and even
have
though-
something I want.
Yeah, and we knew that
Particular set of skills.
going back to the first
sound like.
episode
Yeah.
and going back to season 1 and then even
Yeah.
into season 2, there was all this stuff about the importance of Grogu, not just that he's a Jedi, so that helps Din, but why are people after him? What
Yeah.
do they want? And if this whole season was to be
And
just
we knew he was the subject.
yeah, if this season was to be just okay, it's all about Bo versus Din
Then
versus
I'd be like,
cool like Mythosaur. We're gonna
Yeah.
get some Mythosaur
Yeah.
stuff. That's really cool. But I would be like, so is Grogu just kind of like
Is that
he's just
not
a
happening
merchandise
anymore?
side character
Yeah.
who's just
Right.
there to be cute and stuff? But the fact they introduced him in episode 1 immediately
There
was
is
to
no
show there's a
Mandalorian
huge
without
yeah
Grogu.
there's a huge
There's not.
so I think the big surprise for me was not that we got back to some cloning stuff. It was the amount of time we
It
got
was
in
the
it.
amount, yeah.
But I also loved that we got that amount, that we got looks into the amnesty program they're talking about.
Right.
There's some really interesting conversations that happen. Like I thought it was very interesting. You can see just as an audience, because we know what happens later. We don't know what happens with this particular group of people, but we know what happens with the rise of the First Order, and then also the Final Order and Palpatine's crew, and then we also know that, obviously they mentioned Moff Gideon in this, and they mentioned that he perhaps may have escaped. So that was interesting that they talked about of like, oh, we don't know what really happened to him. But then it's also interesting that they're all sitting around and talking about the scene where Pershing sits down almost at the lunch table, and they're all
very Bad Batch like.
Yeah, they're all sitting down. But then they're
like they're in the quad
right,
talking about
and
fraternities.
It's interesting when they're like, so what was your favorite part about the what do you miss about the Empire? And they're like,
it was bad.
I know it was bad and it was a Nazi regime and all that. Obviously,
aside from that,
obviously,
the mass genocide. Aside from that,
I
What
mean,
did
obviously,
you like about it?
and the way they kind of like, obviously, all hail the New Republic. What would you miss about it? And then like, I miss the biscuits. I miss
The
miss
food.
this, and it's just there is a little bit already of us being like, they quickly took people who not very long ago, and are not. I'm not saying what the right answer is of what you do with someone who literally fought on the other side, but that they're there and they're grouped together and they're reminiscing about some of the good, like some of the things they thought were good about it. And then also the vetting process of even the one, I his name escapes me, but him turning and going, Moff Gideon, I didn't know you served on his ship. Like, these people don't even know the people working around them.
That's right.
Even he was kind of like, whoa. Well,
Yeah.
that's
a big
you're
deal.
a lot higher up than I maybe would have thought.
Right. Or I need to be cautious of you.
Be cautious
Are
of you, yeah.
Still loyal.
They
Because
they take anybody.
So
we got
there's so much to talk about.
Paul Allen's talking about because we mentioned the trailer, said we might get back to some Carson Teva too, because we saw a little bit of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and
the trailer.
also how a lot of this is, the connection to the sequels, which, yeah, for sure. And of course, you've got the sequel, haters that don't really like the sequels. If you don't like them, that's fine. But be warned, this is all leading to the sequels, whether you like it or not.
I like them
A lot of this is leading to the sequels. So don't be surprised if they continue down this whole path to kind of connect the dots between
Also feels
where we're
like
at
it's
now and the sequel trilogy.
could be also leading to Thrawn.
Some Thrawn.
That's we've talked about that. I think
Because
we're
they've talked about
he's
how
out. I mean, it's the connecting.
Yeah.
Favreau's
thread,
talked
man.
about how this Ahsoka, this is a tapestry in like that these things will connect, and so while I also 100% agree that we are seeing stuff of we see maybe some of the things that are not perfect about the New Republic already, and how we can see how these different factions can rise up, but also for the immediacy of the show.
Right.
I don't think that this show ends with, I don't think this show ends with a young Admiral Hux joining the First Order. Like that's in the First Order also, and Bosa kind of talked about that being some outer.
It's happening out there,
But we
that's not-
know, based on what we've seen, obviously in the animated shows and what we've seen mentioned in the previous season of Mandalorian, they've now mentioned Thrawn by name.
Yeah.
And the Thrawn's out
which
there.
I think is indicative that that's the.
Seems like
We
the
heard it
leader of
mentioned
what's going on right now.
in the Ahsoka the Jedi episode of Mando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, "I'm going."
Where's the Rebel Thrawn?
I think that they're tying. I just read about Filoni called this the Titanic moment. He's using that phrase.
Oh yeah.
The Titanic moment,
Mhm.
where all these people come together at this.
Iceberg.
All the stories connect at that one moment.
Yeah.
I think it's connecting beyond just stories, but over time.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
so it's been a long time, but I did a little research. I usually don't do research. I just show up and talk like an idiot. But I did a
Today
little bit
you
of
did
research.
and now you're gonna show
So
up and talk
now
like
it's
an
going to
idiot.
be
No.
informed,
No.
informed idiocy.
That's a T-shirt for us, Star Wars guys.
Star Wars guys.
I'm an
Informed.
idiot, but I know what I'm talking
idiocy.
about.
Is it better or worse? Like I'm
I
not.
don't know.
Informed
It might be
idiocy.
worse.
That's great. Like we're
You
not
know the names
we're
that
not
you're going to make
ignorant-
stupid
we're not
comments
ignorant
about.
to the facts. We're not oblivious to and don't know what we're talking about. Oh no, we looked this up.
Oh, I studied this.
Every bit of
stupid
idiocy you
opinion.
get is with purpose and with
Intentionality.
Just continue, Uncle.
No, no,
Continue.
no, so-
this is gonna be really good.
So we read. You've all read Heir to the Empire.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Thrawn. It's been so long. I read it like when it came out. I remember.
Yeah.
So I lost some of that, but I look back and Thrawn is in there,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and the the mountain of what is it, Tantus? Is
Yes,
that what it's
yeah,
called? Right.
Yeah.
So I went back and watched the last episode of Bad Batch, and that's where we end the season. So Tantus, which is connected to
Yes.
Thrawn, which is
Mhm.
connected to cloning, and
Yeah.
now here we are in Mando, where they've moved the cloning off, and it's continuing. So I think Thrawn connects. I mean, it's way before, but it connects
Connects,
up
yeah.
through
It does.
time. The trajectories are
Yeah.
going the same direction.
There
Which
are-
is what we talked about last week too, with the potential. What was some of the predictions we talked about with
Right.
Omega?
Yes.
One of the
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Now
You
I don't
shared
have
that.
it. I don't have it down to a T. Like I don't know all the details, but I was saying there's going to be a mixture. My language. It'll
Yeah.
probably be something else in the show, but some sort of mixture of DNA. Now they're calling it in this episode of Mando that the strand cast. It's not
Yes.
a cloning.
Right.
You're not cloning. You're using DNA to make strand casts. Like
Mhm.
Snoke was just created.
Yes.
Snoke wasn't a person that then became a clone.
Mhm.
They took the DNA and they created Snoke. And that's kind of the direction we're going.
Yeah.
Trying to get that Force sensitivity in over time, leading back to Bad Batch, to Mando,
Right.
to Ahsoka potentially, and then to the sequels.
They're connected. So we
They're
talked
all
about
showing the different time periods like you're
Mhm.
saying, but they're leading to it's like seeing these different things all play out in different times.
different times.
It's Christopher Nolan.
It is.
It's
It
different
is.
times of all leading to the same thing, but we're seeing it
This is
play
the
out.
But
Dunk-
you
this is the
know-
Dunkirk version.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, you know who the grandfather of this whole thing is. They haven't
Thrawn.
tapped into it.
No.
Well, haven't tapped
Yeah.
into it, but they're going to realize it.
Yeah.
John Hammond.
It's Johnny.
Yeah.
Depp,
He was
yes.
doing this like way back in the day.
And you know what he did?
Yeah.
He spared no
He
expense.
spared no
He
expense.
did.
If you want to go down again, you look like a petting zoo.
It's one of my. Just
think
from
Tim
rewatching the
Talk. It's on your
original.
left. What's going on?
Rewatched
Tim?
the
Welcome
original
to-
Jurassic
welcome.
Park like
Yeah.
one time in like the last 2 years, and it's great because obviously I've grown up with Jurassic Park. I've seen the movie countless times, but it wasn't until and I remembered it's spared no expense and that whole thing. It
Spared
wasn't
no
until I
expense for
recently
today.
rewatched it
Mm-hmm.
that I paid attention to every time he said it, and it's so funny because he just continuously it was spared no expense. It was spared no expense.
spared no
Spared no expense. Spared no expense. And
What
then
is
by
that?
the
Spared no
end, it's
expense.
like this is the most.
Do you think TV
Dangerous,
shows? Do you think they're spoiling us in a way? Because if you watch movies like Jurassic Park, they cut the fat away, man. They cut right
Oh,
to
yeah.
the story. It's edited
Yeah.
down. It's clean. It's fast. It's short. Episode 4, it's really tight. All the
Mm.
movies, but they take so much time.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
like it,
I do too.
but are we gonna eventually get a Star Wars movie and go, why are they going so fast? Who is
I know.
that?
What?
What is he doing? What's
What's
his
flying
motivation?
across the
Yeah.
screen?
Right?
Well, what's funny is that's what
We can't-
some
I mean,
of
it's
the
gonna be weird.
that's what some of the criticisms of Rise of Skywalker were. That I remember a lot of people saying like,
Covered a lot of ground way
Boom.
too fast.
you know,
Exegol, and it's like
literally from the very first
Yeah.
line, the dead speak. People were like, "What?" And I remember at the time, like, "Oh, I kind of thought we would get a little more explanation," but then it's somehow Palpatine returned. When you go to here and they're like, "Whoa, whoa,
Boom.
Yeah.
Mando's funny because Favreau has a very specific, interesting, different style of storytelling that I think feels consistent in Mando, feels consistent in
Boba Fett.
in Boba Fett. That feels very different from Andor, very different from Obi-Wan,
Yes.
Yeah.
and feels very different than the movies. Where Favreau does it, and I mean this as a positive, I never know how long we're going to stay with something.
Mm-mm.
Like, I never know the pace. The pace is sometimes, I like it because it's, you can almost say it's like stubborn, but not in a bad way. Like he knows how long he wants to stay with something, so that could be 5 seconds and then we're out.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, hey, I want to show the whole process of us trying to get IG-11 back
Yeah.
in doing this, and then we have this whole Terminator type scene, and then we go meet Pelly, and Pelly goes, "Well, take this hunk of junk," and he goes, "All right," and it's
Exactly.
like boom, and you're like, "Whoa!" I really thought that we were gonna have maybe
I
multiple
know.
episodes of
Right.
trying to
Right.
Yeah.
find the
IG,
part, and
yeah,
then
I
he has to
know.
do this side thing, and then because of that, we'll get IG-11 back, and then he'll go, and then mid-season he'll bathe in the living waters. Instead, it's like, oh, episode 2 he's gonna bathe in the living waters. Well, probably by the
Mythosaur.
finale we might see a. Oh, and no, then the Mythosaur is gonna be in episode 2. We'll see him.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
what?
what is?
This is so quick.
Right.
Yeah.
Some that you can't figure
So
out.
I love that. I do love
Yeah.
that because of that, I enter every single episode more than ever of going, it's not like I have no idea where the story's going because I think they've done a really good job of, the Mythosaur thing is something they've been setting
Yeah.
up.
That's right.
The going to Mandalore, we knew that coming into the season because they've set it up. The cloning stuff, it wasn't we were surprised we got back to it. It's just I didn't know how long we'd spend.
When, how long,
and how much we'd get to see of Coruscant.
Yeah.
And I love the different characters that we saw in
Yeah.
Coruscant, where you get all of a sudden, you've got, everybody coming out and congratulations, doctor, that was a great speech, and like,
Right.
everybody
Yeah.
talking to him.
Exactly.
And
that was nice
he's
of
like a
Jim
hero.
Gaffigan
You're
to
so
do a
brave.
voiceover on the episode too. By the way,
Was it Gaffigan?
doesn't it sound like
It
him?
does sound like
The tech guy
Gaffigan
at
for
the
sure.
end?
Oh
This
yeah,
here's these are my big pants.
it just really
Yeah.
does.
This
yeah.
is too big for me.
I
It
think-
just sounded like
It
Gaffigan.
really did sound like
Gaffigan.
I don't know.
That's
No,
great.
it
I
did.
should have looked up and see.
Yeah, maybe.
Shelby was in
I
it
know, dude.
again.
Every
She's
time
in
I
every
hear
Star
her
Wars
voice
thing.
now, I'm like, dude, she's in every
She's like
episode.
the Star Wars voice actress.
love
She's
it.
the one who did the.
The droid,
Yeah, he he sat down on the.
or it was the tablet.
when
the tablet.
when Pershing sits down and she's like, "Welcome to Coruscant, where this is the home of da da da," and
Mhm.
immediately
I'm
like,
like,
"Oh,
oh,
that's
there we
right.
go.
She does the
I
same thing."
know.
No,
I
it's,
think
it's great.
Tim
His pacing
talk,
is
Tim's
awesome.
talk in the chat said this episode seemed a little different like Andor, but other than that, it's been more consistent. I agree. And I think part of that is because like we said, we didn't expect, at least I didn't, that extended period of time.
Yeah.
That like 40 minutes or so of Pershing and Coruscant. And again, I saw some people talking on Twitter. I do think the importance of that was to build the character development between the two that we're following, and the trust of kind of, if that all happened in 10 minutes and then she turns on him at the end and looks like all evil, you'd be like, okay, well, how did you not see that coming? Of
Right.
course she was working, like, you could still be bad too.
Yep.
But they had to give the audience time to go on the story, go on the journey with them, see that she got the biscuits for him, see that
Mhm.
there was kind of a bond between the
Yeah.
two, for then that to be more meaningful at the end. Like, you can't just do that in 10 minutes or even 20 minutes and then feel like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been as impactful.
No.
The twist wouldn't have been as good. Even if you saw it coming, it still
Exactly.
is not as meaningful or as powerful on screen
Yep.
to the audience unless you kind of let that story play out.
Absolutely.
But
the twist. So, what's interesting is I think that probably all of us had our antennas up as soon as we saw her.
even with Pershing, I had my antennas
That's
up.
what
I'm
I
like,
thought.
I can't trust any of them.
Yeah, and as soon as we saw
Exactly.
her, and they were even like, "You're with," and they bring attention to that.
Yeah.
Oh, you were on Gideon's ship. Of course, our antennas are up. And then she starts leaving them some biscuits, and then even starts saying stuff, like, oh, "Come on, live a little." And you're like, "Oh, she's trying to get him outside."
The
the
betrayal
lines.
didn't go like I thought.
That's what I was gonna
No.
say. So what I was gonna say
No,
is,
it
I
didn't.
did not think what I thought was gonna happen is when we got to that ship, she do this, and all of a sudden she lures him in, and people who obviously work for Moff Gideon are
The
there,
Loyal Empire
Yeah.
sweeps
and
in.
they sweep in,
Right.
and so where they got
Sweep him
us
up.
is, yes, she's bad, but she's also she's undercover and hidden.
made it look
the,
like she
the
was
New
good.
Republic made it look like, thank you for reporting him in. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know that she was going to betray him by selling him out.
That's right.
Like she
To
would,
the New
she would
Republic.
get him to step
But
across
is
the line
that
and then
not
go.
Yeah.
is that not the best Imperial? They're not interested
Oh.
in the Empire or the
No.
Rebellion. They're interested in themselves.
That's
yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's great.
Gideon's not interested in the Empire
Yeah.
necessarily.
And
I mean,
if
the only
he's
the guy
got all
that
this
says
knowledge,
"Long live the Empire."
Yeah.
Maybe he is, but all these people are.
Yeah, everyone
But-
else.
Yeah,
Like,
but
what can I get?
Gideon is all about
What
it
can I
Gideon's
get?
all
definitely
about
made
Gideon.
me think, oh, well, I guess Dr. Pershing was telling the truth when he was saying, I want to use it for good now.
He
And now they
was.
want him out.
Yeah.
If that's the case and she's working with the Empire still, they're like, oh, we got to get rid of him. This is
Exactly.
your
So she's
mission
still
now.
maybe.
This is like, that's the way I took it, as like, okay, she's still in, she's working with them,
She's
she's
got a
double agent, and they realized Pershing, because my antenna was up for Pershing, but then you realize
Yeah.
he's giving this whole speech of like, we can use it for good, we can.
His speech was already over the line.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
when they're like, "Okay, we got to get rid of this guy."
Yeah, that's
Yep.
when they're like, get him out.
And she's the one that
he
could
knows
do
too
it.
much. Like those that are still with the Empire,
Yeah.
still with the cloning with Moff Gideon, they're like, oh, he knows too much. We got to get him out.
Can I make a statement about our intention, the way we watch the show? Because if you haven't watched our podcast before, I think I can speak for all of us when we try to watch the show
Yeah.
without thinking, try not to go, who's going to be in this?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
also try to watch going, why didn't they? Or why don't they?
Yes.
What is this?
Mm.
We try to watch with the intention of let me take the story in as it's presented, and then afterwards think about it instead of going. I try not to watch going, why are they spending so much time? I didn't even think about that.
No.
No.
I just like, let's just take
And-
it in.
And we try, and we also try
You know what I
to, in that same vein, we also try to never be like, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, why would
he
they?
just did.
Yeah,
like,
right. We're trying
Who
to have
am I
that,
to say like
more of an
Yeah.
open-minded.
Yeah,
let's see what
yeah.
the story
engage
presents.
with it.
Yeah,
I also try to
as it's
remember
engaged with the
too-
story that's
Yeah.
presented to you.
right.
Instead, it's why didn't he rat him out?
Mhm.
There's a reason, but that's
Right.
interesting. Maybe I didn't pick up on something.
Maybe,
There.
yeah.
Why didn't
Yeah,
that
yeah,
happen? Not like he would have. Like no, because
Yeah.
he didn't.
Right.
It's
yeah,
just
'cause
one.
he
Yeah,
didn't-
that's.
I
yeah.
do think what's interesting too with Star Wars is because we're through all these different timelines and the story is just so big.
Yeah.
And there's so many different stories. It's easy to like watch an episode or a short, like especially now with so much TV, so
What
much
you
Star
gonna
Wars
say?
episode. It's easy to watch an episode and be like, that didn't flesh much out.
Doesn't- right.
It's like that didn't do it for me, or like they spent
It
too much
doesn't
time where
fit.
they didn't.
Yeah,
And that doesn't fit, and then
Right.
being upset and saying, "Well, that's bad writing," or like that's bad this or bad
Yeah.
that. Whereas I usually look at it and go, "No, that's just 30 minutes of the."
Well,
there's
let's
there's
pull it
still
out.
there's still three or
Yeah.
there's still what? That was episode 3.
Yep.
So there's
Mhm.
still potentially 4 or 5 more hours left.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess 4.
5
or
more
around-
episodes.
around 5 more episodes. Let's say about
Yeah.
4 more hours of footage.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh well, that's only.
Let's play it out.
They could have done the whole thing with Pershing and not gone back to Mando. And in the grand scheme of things, of an 8-hour movie, so to speak, we spent
Right.
1 hour with
Right.
Pershing. So I try to look at it as like, okay, this is a moment, or this is a
Let's
segment
take in the whole
of the
thing.
whole
Yeah.
story that we're
Mhm.
getting. And then you think of it even bigger. You're like, this is also season 3. We got a season 4 coming.
Is it more?
So it's like
Mhm.
it's when you kind of pan it out like that.
So
it
we
makes these moments don't feel drawn or out or anything like that.
we
'cause
try
I'm
to
like,
keep a positive mindset about it. Even to the people, the detractors, people who make quick judgments, we try to keep a positive mindset on
Yeah.
them too. We don't want to be negative.
and
But
not that you can't be critical of things.
Not at
You can-
all.
You can. There's stuff in every show.
I talk about
Star
the
Wars
hubris-
show that I'm like, oh, I probably would have
the
maybe done
hubris
this
of the
differently, but-
Jedi. Sometimes there's hubris of the critic,
True.
where they think my thinking is the only way that
Sure.
it can play
Yes,
out. When actually
sure.
there's. So we try to just be open.
Yeah.
Totally.
And
Enjoy it.
Take it for what
It's
it is.
it's fun. It's supposed to be fun.
Can we talk
Star Wars
briefly?
has always been gas.
Star
so
Wars. We're watching Star Wars on
Exactly.
TV. Yeah.
Can we
Star
talk
Wars has never been
briefly?
perfect. Are we gonna agree on that?
Man, go watch episode 4 again.
When will we ever complain and say we spend too much time on Coruscant? That's where we want to spend all of our time is on Coruscant.
Real quick before you.
Right.
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that.
Exactly.
Tim says, I took it that Moff Gideon is coming back for sure. Yeah, I think he's coming back.
We had
for
questions
sure.
before
Somehow
about
Gideon is returned.
yeah.
Derpy, hello,
like it.
welcome guys to the chat. Thanks for tuning in. What's going
Can
on?
we talk briefly about some red flags or problems we see already arising with the New Republic? So
Nah.
interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. One of the first things that I noticed when they're sitting around at the table is that they're calling each other by they have their numerical designations. And I'm like,
Exactly.
they're
I
just
know.
a number again. Like
I thought it
You
was
don't realize it's your
very-
numbers
say,
again?
No, my
very
name's Tommy.
imperial.
I'm Tommy. I'm not TMMY. I'm
6
Tommy.
1 3 4.
TMMY 1 2 3. Tommy, call me Tommy.
L52.
I know.
What
Yes,
is
yeah.
it? Oh,
But no, that
laboratory.
was
And so the fact that they're
intentional
calling
in the
themselves
fact that they're
that,
showing why
Exactly.
they're showing glimpses as to why the New Republic.
They have a deep programming,
failed.
brainwashing, memory wiping machine.
and how about the fact
Yeah.
that because the way that they
What?
talk, it's funny because he's like, no, I know this. It's a mind flare, and they're like, no, we've learned that when it's on the weak settings, get a new machine.
Right.
If
Yeah.
we want the weak
Make one that
settings,
doesn't go past
don't
the weak
use
settings.
Exactly.
Why are we using the
You guys remember
Empire's
Phineas and
technology?
Ferb?
Oh yeah.
Whenever he, why I don't know why I had that button on there in the first place. Why do I have a destruct button on my machine?
That's
Stop
exactly
it. Why
what
do
it
you have a
is.
10? Why do you have it?
that is
How can you
exactly what
turn
it
it
felt
up?
like.
Right. But the reason it's not an accident, they have it there because you can do
That's
that.
the thing.
Yeah.
Is
That's
the
right.
fact that that's already a
I
huge
know.
red
You could do
flag. Is
right.
Yeah.
well, we don't intend to use it, but we want to be able to if we need to.
It might
Oh,
need
really
well,
makes
why are
me-
we dabbling into the same?
It really makes
stuff
me
there.
wonder
Right.
who's at the top of the political, like even now with the rise of the New Republic. If those things are happening, it makes me wonder. Okay, who's in charge? Like what board is really running this New Republic? Because there's already got to be someone on the inside.
You know what it took me back
Already.
to? It took me back to Andor.
It
Yeah,
did.
This was a
Which
very
is why I think this
Andor-esque
did
episode.
When
feel-
she
feel
was
Andor.
interrogating,
Yep.
using techniques to alter the mind.
Yeah.
Totally. I
It
saw
feels,
someone.
It honestly feels the opposite.
Yeah.
Of like same thing, but almost
Yes.
the opposite. Instead of Mon Mothma being the one that's like, I'm working for the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
It feels now like there's this group of New Republic, but there's someone Imperial on the inside.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
like, I'm still doing.
When they
this
did the interrogation and they used that machine, the doctor comes in and it's all like, oh, this is for this and this is for
Yeah.
this. This
Yeah.
feels exactly the same. They're just
This
making
is
it up.
totally this.
Yeah.
We haven't
You have
gotten a
gentle
lot of.
sound. You have a gentle sound. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. Ugh.
We haven't gotten
Yeah.
a ton of outside of the big one, Palpatine, in the prequels, but we haven't gotten a ton in any recent post prequel Star Wars of some of villain infiltrating the good guys or
Yeah.
infiltrating the New Republic. Like this was really interesting to see that, because
Yes.
especially coming off of Andor, where it is
That's
the
true.
opposite of we're trying to build a rebellion. So we have rebels
Yeah.
that are infiltrating and are trying to plan this thing for good. This is we see the poison already spreading throughout, because I think one great thing this episode touches on, and we've talked about on the podcast before, is just because the emperor falls or just because an empire falls doesn't mean everyone who fought for it immediately is gone.
No.
It doesn't mean that all of a sudden, all their problems are completely eradicated and everyone is just on the same page of what to do next.
Mhm.
Right.
That's one of the best parts of Lord of the Rings and Return of the King is when they come back to the Shire and they have to now defend their homeland after already defeating Sauron.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the story, because it's what happens next.
What happens to the remnants?
And so I thought that was interesting. The numbers thing,
yeah.
having the same equipment.
Well, was it
They're keeping
I
the
think-
Star Destroyers
was it
there in the
intentional?
junkyard. Like, there's a
Exactly.
lot
Yeah.
of stuff.
Was
that's
it
like, you're
intentional
asking for
that-
someone to steal this?
that the amnesty program is exactly the same location that Cyril Karn lived? I mean,
Did that not like the
and
exact
the
No.
and the where
really,
he works is the exact same.
I
It's just
know.
Really-
been repurposed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know, it's
Also, like,
I
interesting.
just love the parallel. Like
Also,
Tim
yeah.
said it here in the chat. Said the New Republic is definitely paralleling to the Empire.
Mhm.
They're just
You're
using
supposed
different phrasing. That's yeah. They're
Yeah,
intentionally showing why
you know,
they failed.
It's the phrase "absolute power corrupts absolutely." So whichever side, if it's not checked by the people choosing,
yeah.
Yeah.
it can go off the rails.
It almost makes me feel like they defeat the Empire. New Republic's like we've got to rebuild like immediately.
Yeah.
Whatever we can do to get things in order, get
Yep.
a hierarchy, get things going. It's like they tried to build up and scale so fast that they're like, keep the facility, we'll use it.
We'll use it.
Keep that, we'll use it. Keep it, we'll
Mhm.
use
The
it.
torture machine, we'll use it.
Yeah,
but
use
but
that.
only for good.
We could use it for good.
It's
we
like-
only torture for good.
You know what I mean? It feels like they've got all these people, and now they're even bringing on
It's
like,
alarming.
you're with the Empire, you know how to operate this.
Yeah.
Come work for us, you'll be good.
Yeah, except
It's
for
like-
Pershing.
it's
Hey,
like,
I
no,
could
you
use the
won't.
cloning for good. Whoa, take it easy there, cowboy.
Also, when she's like,
Like, what do you mean?
she's like, what? We
the
should
one
We'll
guy
break
keep
who
the
means
torture thing, but don't save lives.
Don't save lives. Also, but I would directly be going against my orders. But would you be doing it for good? Well, I mean, I do love cloning. I guess that's good. It's my own self-need to I love cloning. Well, then you should do whatever you want to nurture your love of cloning. Like,
I have you now.
immediately, we're like, okay,
You know what
this
I
is
say?
not going well.
That ain't my rebellion. That's not.
my
That
rebellion.
ain't my republic.
It ain't my New Republic.
Uh-uh.
Ain't my Persian.
Oh no, you didn't.
Yeah.
No,
I know.
Now, I want to touch on one thing too. Of what are your guys' thoughts on Bo-Katan not telling Mando what she saw?
Yes, that's where I thought we got back to a little bit of Bo versus
Versus Mando.
Versus
I took
Mando.
it two ways.
Kate- you know,
so I'm
Katie talked
interested to
about
hear what
this.
you thought.
Did you read this?
I saw a little bit, and that's
Kate-
what kind of made me.
Katie Sackhoff made a.
I'm in
Yeah.
the dark.
She doesn't drive the ship there, but
Yeah,
I mean, she drives the ship, but not the show.
she
right?
drives a jetpack.
Oh, she drives the ship.
She actually. Oh, she's driving. Oh, she's driving, buddy.
Oh.
She's driving.
Whenever our George Costanza bit of the week.
oh,
Oh.
she's flying. No, she said that her thought was that she thinks maybe that Bo wasn't. She's thinking she maybe imagined it.
She's
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
That can't.
Which once
I
I
saw
heard,
that, but that could be a
She's
rock.
second guessing that couldn't
can't
be.
be real.
But doesn't.
She's second guessing what she saw.
But it didn't feel that doesn't feel like what you would say if you thought it was fake. If I thought
Yeah,
it was real,
true.
did you see some kind of monster down there? I thought it. Maybe I was imagining things.
and I guess she did
Yeah,
ask
I
him,
know.
"Did you see anything
She did
alive?"
say, "Did you
and
see
he was like,
anything?"
"No."
she did it in a way
Yeah.
that was more. It
It-
felt
it
more
felt more
deceptive.
like I
It
had a
did. It
secret.
felt more. Did you see it? You didn't.
Questioning.
Could
Okay,
share
I won't
something,
say
no,
anything.
never
Never
mind.
mind. But it could be.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah. I don't know. It is interesting.
Man, Bo's story arc. I'm I'm not sure.
I don't
They
know.
could go a couple of different ways.
It really
Yeah.
could.
And it's the mask, the helmet on. It's hard to know what they're thinking. But I mean,
She
I
actually
think
talked about that too.
I think the Mando thing is cool because we put, they talk about actors on screen. The actors when you're not talking, they should show nothing. You don't respond. It's
Yeah.
blank.
Yeah.
So that what the audience does is you fill in what you feel,
Yeah.
and what you feel is what you put on them when they don't give you an expression.
Yeah.
We have to do that with Mando and Bo-Katan the whole episode. We can't see,
Yeah.
go by their voice, but Bo-Katan, her expressions, it felt like when they reached out, it felt like she was like, this is what it feels like to be
Yeah.
connected
to be
with
part of
my,
it. It did.
with
It
my
did.
people again.
Even though she
I'm not leading.
said she disagrees. She's
Exactly.
like, but I don't follow the way, and they were still accepting.
I got a sense of
Like
it.
she
did. I
felt
did too.
connected.
I did
The
too.
armor is throwing me for a loop.
I know.
because
The armor is so hard to figure
it's
out.
so hard because she, like you're saying, Bo-Katan says, but I don't follow the way.
Yeah.
And then she says, well,
You
have you
bathe in the
taken your
waters of-
helmet off since?
Yeah.
So they didn't say, oh, you're right. You don't follow the way. You're not one of us.
Mhm.
She said, have you taken your helmet off? She said, no. She goes, well, then you're
in.
with us.
You're
in.
redeemed as well.
You're in with us now. I think it's interesting because you take it, like you said, it almost felt like this is what it feels like to kind of have a Mandalorian group, like a
Mhm.
family again, because she's been longing for that.
Yeah.
But I saw some people talk about this, and it did make me question. I was like, it is interesting though that Bo-Katan, who ruled Mandalore, is being redeemed by the armor. Like, it makes me wonder, who is the armor actually?
Right.
Like, who are you to redeem the queen of Mandalore? The
That's
prin-
right.
like what? Like, it just made me think, like, and we're just gonna accept this,
Mhm.
or I don't know. Like, there's just so much more. I feel like
Interesting
that's
power,
gonna go
yeah.
down this road, and I don't know if they'll end up being.
I
I don't know.
I think
don't know.
Bo-Katan is coming to a conclusion, and we see it in her character more important than for Bo-Katan, more important than creeds and rules and history and tradition, is protecting and connecting Mandalorians
Yep.
together.
And I think
Mm.
once
And
Yeah.
when she saw that, she's moved by
Yep.
that. Like, this is actually more
Yep,
of my
yep.
heart.
This
What
feels
I want
meaningful.
to bring us back together. If I lead right now, I'm in a kind of a follower
Yeah.
role, but it feels good to be together.
and going off that, I do think that's kind of maybe where she's heading.
Yeah.
And as she realizes that and the importance of that and regrouping and regathering the Mandalorians, that through that and those feelings of bringing people back together, her longing for the Darksaber and for rule will diminish, which will actually make her
Mm-hmm.
will actually make her suitable to do it in the end.
It's she's being humbled.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you know what every cult needs? Every
Humility.
cult needs a leader,
A leader.
scandal.
Yeah.
It always
True.
happens.
Yeah.
The leader is always uncovered in some way
Yeah.
to not walk the line exactly right.
Yep.
So it could be. I wondered, how did they know? How did the Empire know they were going to be on? How did they know to come and bomb her place then?
I know. Yeah.
They were going to be
Yeah.
in the land. I don't think it was a coincidence.
Or
I think
yeah,
they
like,
were tipped
what
off.
caused them to show up at that
She's
time? If
leaving.
She's been chilling there for how long? And then
Somehow they knew. I don't know.
it is interesting. I do
Anyway.
want to say John is in the chat. Welcome. Said
Welcome,
Snoke
welcome.
is coming. I think Snoke. This is interesting. I think Snoke became into existence much earlier than we thought.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Could
That's-
be.
That. I mean, if
Or
if
one
we start
iteration of
episode
Snoke.
7 with an entire First Order already massively built with Snoke leading it.
What if it's
How
not
could
the?
he not have been around?
What if
for
that
much
Snoke
longer?
wasn't the first? That was not the first
That's
Snoke.
not even the first one.
There was another one.
There
and
were
it kept
more
getting
Snokes in
better.
the jar on Exegol.
That was the best
That's
version.
true. Yeah.
Really?
Looked like
That's
a
a
Jaws burned
really
face.
Yeah, we took
that's
a
the
look
best
at-
you can do.
Right.
Yeah, we took a look at the specs there, Palpin. There's nothing we can do about the giant crater scar in that forehead. This
The
is
big
about the
claw
best we can
hand there,
do.
It's just gonna have
Yeah.
to stick.
He's about
No, that
10
is
feet tall. We
interesting,
get
though.
up
What
on the scaffolding there and put a little makeup on the old crater scar there, but
Yeah. No, that is
The original
another-
Snoke
what
is
if-
just Andy
It's
Serkis.
just Andy
What if
Serkis.
Mando does lead
What?
up to where we actually see Snoke?
That would be awesome.
really
and you're
cool.
like, wow, this is Snoke is around this early.
Yeah.
That'd be-
Why
it
not?
makes sense. Why
This is
not?
what he-
What's the time? How much from where we're at right now in Mando.
Yeah.
What's the time frame between that and episode 7? Do we know?
Between this and episode 7, that's a good question. Let's think of how old Luke is in episode 7 versus how old he's
How old
supposed
is
to
he
be in
supposed
this.
to be now? I mean, maybe
Maybe 20 years?
Yeah,
Maybe
that's what I was
more.
gonna say.
Maybe a little more,
30.
25. Yeah.
But to build the First Order,
Well, yeah, and how long
like
does it
how
take to
big
get
it
that
is,
ugly?
And
I mean,
Star Killer. How long did it
Snoke
take?
take that long to get that
How long
ugly?
did it take to make Star Killer base?
Well,
I mean,
according to episode 6,
That's true.
about 10 years.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. About 5 years.
Yeah.
No, they were working on that in the background, weren't they?
they were working on it back to
Palpatine had a plan the whole
yeah,
time.
True.
Back to
Yeah.
episode
I
3.
think it would be awesome to have Snoke. I do think Thrawn's going to be.
I think Thrawn's gonna be.
I think
huge.
he's going to be revealed in somehow at the end of this season because it's going to set us up for an Ahsoka, the Ahsoka.
Yeah.
At least like a clip, a visual, something that he's out there working on the cloning stuff. I think that'd be
I
cool.
like it.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Why not
I like
Snoke
it,
though?
Yeah.
Interesting. I do think that, like you're saying, Thrawn is going to become an overarching story for all of this stuff.
Mhm.
We'll probably see it more heavily in Ahsoka,
In Ahsoka.
just naturally because the Rebels characters, and that's kind of been the Rebels story.
Yeah.
And with Ahsoka having that and playing a big role and being involved with those characters already.
Yep.
But I do think a lot of it, so far, all of the Mandoverse, right, has tied around Mando.
Mando.
So it wouldn't surprise me if we get those introductions. Like if we get a Thrawn introduction
Mhm.
in this season.
Because we've done
At
that
the
with
end of this season.
Boba Fett came in. And
Boba Fett was
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
back in Mando. Ahsoka live action was brought in Mando.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The Thrawn name drop
The
happened
name,
in Mando.
right.
So like even though that might not be Mando's direct story, I do think it'll be part of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if
Be fun.
Grogu and the cloning is actually the Mando story, or if that is the big
Yeah.
overarching picture of all the shows. I don't know.
I think we should. I just thought of a great name for a band.
Oh yeah,
Grogu and the Cloners.
Ooh, I
Grogu
like
and the
that.
Cloners.
Are we gonna talk about Bad Batch?
Nah.
Well, first we're going to talk about
The
Talking
sound
about
of
band
people
names
clicking
first,
away.
yeah.
Bad Batch was awesome.
we're talking about band
I
names.
know Bad
I-
Batch is so good.
we're talking about band names. I keep coming back to the Herdsmen. And this is chord vets. You know, like chords in our music. This is our that thing you do
Hey,
reference of the
chord
week.
vet.
I love the Beatles, but that's a stupid name. I mean, the Beatles, you know, like the beat. It's a beat.
beat?
It's a B-E-A-T. Anyway, but now it
be
just
like-
seems natural. I
Got
can-
it.
know.
Looks like the
Oh, the
O'Neills.
Beatles.
Got it. On Edders. Yeah.
It's netters.
So my Easter egg here, which you guys probably picked up,
This is for
And I
for,
got it.
For Mando
you
stuff?
guys maybe saw this too.
Coruscant.
Coruscant. Yeah,
didn't know.
it was in
That's
like
where we were.
it was in the
That's where we
prequels.
were.
That's what it was. It was like, hey,
Prequels.
I remember that city.
Prequels.
That's
What's like
ones were
a whole
those?
city on a planet.
No, the Rock in the middle.
Yeah, Dwayne the Rock. Oh,
Coruscant. Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
you meant the Easter egg of
Oh, I
the
did.
Rock in the
Yeah.
background. and
He was in there.
Just give him the face.
Smoldering.
Yeah.
No,
what can
it
I
was
say except you're welcome. For the
we need to have an
clothing
off the rails
DNA.
counter. Can we add that?
This is our off the rails.
How many times
counter.
we go off the rails? Smash it.
Smash it
No,
off
the Rock in the
rails.
middle was mentioned in The Light of the Jedi. Remember that?
Yes, it definitely was.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
the
It had the
Supreme
quote.
Chancellor
Yes, yes.
Low.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it
That's
was.
I was
Right.
like,
I
that's
forgot
where
about
that
that.
was. As soon as it came up, I was like, hey, Hannah. 'cause I
That
was
is
watching with Hannah.
100% from the
I
Light of the
forgot
Jedi.
about that.
That's where they were.
Yeah.
You want to touch it? Yeah.
Yeah. No, that really
Think about
is.
how
Right,
far
that's how
back
it
that
ended.
dates.
It's two. They
Coruscant.
I don't know, hundreds of years, right?
Yeah.
Man.
The fact that that's the last piece that
Of
you
the
can see
planet
of
you
the,
can even
Of the
that's
planet.
built up. It's crazy.
It's so cool.
I
That's
love
The
awesome.
mound of what's it called? The mound of Khazad-dûm, was it?
Yeah, Moria.
it.
Mound of Moria.
No, that's it's
I forget
definitely
what
Light
it's
of the
called.
Jedi.
Yeah, Light of the
Yeah.
Jedi.
Light of
That's
the
where I
Jedi.
saw it. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, transition into a little bit of Bad Batch.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are only after this episode of Bad
Let
Batch.
us know what you guys thought of Bad Batch if you guys watched that.
Yeah.
If you didn't
After
watch it,
this-
get out of here. I'm just kidding.
Watch it come back.
you
Yeah.
make
like a tree,
you
If you didn't watch Bad Batch, go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Go watch it. Come back.
Come back.
Yes.
We'll
There
be
you go.
here. We're gonna
double
just keep
like it,
going.
or is that unlike it? No, just like it once.
Don't double.
Don't
You
double
double
like
click the like. It's an
And
unlike.
smash that notification. bell. All right.
Bad Batch. After this episode of Bad Batch, there are now only 3 left. I think this was episode
Was this 13?
13?
13.
So yeah, 14,
We've
15,
3
yeah,
left.
16.
14, 15, 16 of the season.
Oh,
It
we don't
definitely
know
feels like we're getting a.
yet. I don't feel like we can end the show. It doesn't feel like it's gonna.
no.
If they
I don't-
cancel it, they're not. It's not going to be an ending.
I will say, it definitely does feel.
Could maybe.
Unfortunately,
I shouldn't say that.
Unfortunately,
It could, but it wouldn't feel done.
yeah. Unfortunately,
Unless
what
everyone
we
ends up on
talked
Pabu.
about- What
Unless the clones end up on Pabu at the end.
could be?
Could be a potential final resting place for all of them, except for Rex, who we see in Rebels is very old, and he's
Yeah.
with Gregor, and
Yeah.
so they don't. Rex
They-
doesn't.
yeah,
Rex
Rex-
and Echo
Rex.
don't end up going there. Maybe Echo does.
Unfortunately, what we talked about a couple weeks ago, this episode just reminded me of it the whole time because they were talking about how perfect this place was,
Mhm.
and it made me feel throughout the whole episode. I'm like, these characters are breaking up. The band's breaking up.
There you go.
Echo's starting.
Speaking of
Echo,
the wonders,
or not Echo. What
Breaking
am I
up.
saying?
Tech.
Tech.
Yeah.
Looks like he's got a romance going or something.
Him and
so
the
he
bee.
might
we
be-
call him Brown Eyes.
Brown eye.
Hey, you got some competition.
I don't feel competition. I fear nothing.
I feel nothing.
But it
I
feels
riot
like
race.
that could happen, and then boom, just like that,
Right.
Tech could be gone. Omega was falling in love with the place. I just feel like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
if they'll
with you.
all stay there.
But
But
I-
they even talk about
They
settling
made it
down.
so perfect. It just feels
Yeah.
like the Empire's going to come and destroy it.
I know.
I did see
That's
somebody
what I was
say
worried
every
about. I know.
super nice place that we get. I think Alex
God.
Damon said this.
It
Star Wars
only lasts
Explained.
so long.
Said every single nice place we get Scarif, boom. We get this place. Tidal wave is like the natural elements are
Exactly.
taking it out before even the Empire can get
And
there.
it would take Wrecker like 10 seconds. I'm not sure it's safe here. I agree. You've been here 10 minutes.
Alarms are going off.
I
Wrecker's
know.
like, is this normal? Like, Wrecker, how
Well,
have you
the
survived
alarm-
this long? I know
well-
you're a brute, but you gotta have some brains.
be going. What's that?
No,
should
it's
be going off
it-
right
it-
now.
it's fine because if there was a problem, there would be an alarm. Run for your lives! No, there's a problem. Run, everybody, for themselves. That is so quickly. It's just a small tremor. If there was a real problem,
believe there may be.
run for it. It's immediately.
And
Oh, man.
also,
Titanic.
it wasn't
That
You have
was.
nothing to fear.
It wasn't just run.
Okay,
for
now
it.
we
Their
should fear.
entire half of their village.
Captain
just
of
gets
Titanic, also King
destroyed.
Theoden.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Theoden King, as
But-
we call him at our house.
Oh, that's true. I call them. I was a fool calling him King Theoden. We call him Theoden King in our house.
Theoden King.
No, but it did like
I know.
that wasn't just
Yeah.
a wave that comes through. It sounds like they haven't had that in so long, and it's just destroyed. Like if that's even a possibility, why are we building them?
Yeah, let's
That's,
don't
that
rebuild.
was-
Let's get out of here.
Let's get
find
outta
a
here.
place he's
Find
not
another
gonna kill
pink
us.
mountain.
Is it
Let's-
the only island on the whole planet? I mean, they gotta have other. Is there a higher one?
Every time we go to a beach, Scarif, bad news. Andor had that nice spring break vacation. He was just walking along the beach. They arrest him, and he
Exactly.
goes to prison for like 10 years.
Anyone
Right.
else think it
Crabs.
felt very with Omega out on the water? Felt very
Said
interstellar.
crabs, yeah.
It did.
Interstellar. The ship's not working. The waves coming.
You're right.
You gotta get out of here. Time is
Not
traveling
good.
at
Look at
4
that
times
mountain.
speed.
Omega's like, my brother Boba's aging 100 years while we're here for 1 year. It's time works differently here.
They leave the planet.
They leave the planet.
Everybody's
I don't
800
know.
years old.
Everybody's aging.
I did not.
That is how.
Tech's like, I did
There
not
were
count
some
on that.
good.
Yeah.
There were some good little Easter eggs in I almost said Boba Fett in Bad Batch. So there were some Temple of Doom references if anybody
Yes.
caught. So in
Yeah,
Temple
yeah.
of Doom,
John
they
on
go
here said
into
the old
club.
man who didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Right.
in Temple of Doom, they
Indiana
go
Jones, Temple of Doom.
Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. They go into Club Obi-Wan, is the name of the club that
Yeah.
that Indy and
Mhm.
is it what's the name? Lao She.
Lao She.
Lao She is the
Nice try, Lao She.
is the gangster
Go first, Indy. Right.
Lao She, which by the way, the poison, there was all this stuff that was
Yeah.
in, and in this, she sniffs it out. I don't like poison, is what what our dear Wanda Sykes said or
Right.
whatever. But also the club they're at in this is called Lao She.
Wow.
Is the
I
so
didn't know that.
a reverse little
Yeah.
the gangster
Wow.
in Indiana
Yeah.
Jones Temple of Doom. Lao She is the name. Club Obi-Wan is the club. This one, they pull a little Temple of Doom maneuver trying to poison her, but she sniffs it out in Club Lao She.
I didn't think
I
it was.
love it.
I didn't think it was
I just love it.
coincidence that R2 droid rolls by, and then that protocol droid picks up the drinks and they walk together.
yes,
the
yes,
shot. I was
yep,
like,
totally.
I went back. I was like, that's got to be on purpose. You
Yeah.
got
That's yep.
Yeah.
R2 serves some
friends.
drinks out on the
Exactly.
on
That's
the
right.
sand barge or on
That's right.
the for
master
Jabba.
sail barge.
Yeah, the sail barge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be useful on the master sail
He served a
barge.
lightsaber too.
He did
He
serve
did.
a nice meal of revenge.
ooh.
A dish best served cold.
served
I've
cold.
learned.
Yeah.
You know why Chuck Norris doesn't have a microwave? Because revenge is best served cold. I just made that up.
Chuck
I love
Norris
that.
is
That's
great.
a good one.
Chuck Norris. Overall thoughts.
Welcome back to the
of,
Chuck Norris cast.
Hey,
overall
let's
thoughts.
throw
of
out as
Bad
many
Batch.
Chuck Norris.
I loved this episode.
Yeah.
It feels we didn't end with any of the.
We did. We got a little.
Oh, we got
Oh yeah,
We got Emery at the end there.
we
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
and we've
Emery. I had to look up the name. Emery Carr.
Yes.
Right?
yeah, Carr.
Yep.
Yep.
Which
So-
we
Dr. Carr.
Nate's got a great theory about.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
think that may have a
Yeah.
whether or not it's maternal. There's definitely DNA. That's got
There's
to be a
definitely
They
some
DNA.
look
connection
alike.
there.
Has to be a
She
D.
looks
she's just
so
a,
much
she's
like
gotta be a female
Omega,
clone.
and she's got the same voice.
Mhm.
She's part of the Strand cast, whether she knows it or
Right.
not. I think that's what Nala Say, who
Yes.
they're now keeping a prisoner, used to, part of the creation of Omega as the first potential Strand cast. Not
Mhm.
well. I know people are gonna say, "Oh, but they say that Omega was a direct clone of." Yeah, of course she said that. She's trying
Yeah.
to protect her.
That's right.
So we don't know. I mean, she could have just been saying that to try to protect her. She's
Mhm.
obviously different somehow.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Well, they're
I-
genetically connected either way.
Yeah,
Even
they could
if it
still be.
Was original.
Yeah.
She's
The
connected
voice,
with
just
the
the
voice.
fact that they gave her the same. Not saying people can't have the same accent, but the fact that they did have one
That's
sounds
very
so
specific.
So much like
specifically,
her
so
and
much.
looks like her.
Right.
And they're bringing her in, and she's involved with cloning. There's
Yeah.
just too much that
There's
adds up.
something
Yeah,
there.
and she's got short hair.
Yeah.
You short hair?
I mean,
And
rest my case.
and she said, "Where's my daughter?" Omega.
I'm waiting for my family. No, it's just, I want everyone just to talk like
I've
that.
heard that before somewhere.
I'm never full. Whoa.
You're eating fruit.
No, I love it. I love
love it.
Bad
I
Batch
love it.
episode.
Me too.
I
It's
like
great.
the direction we're going. It seems like we're kind of winding down this season with connecting this story back to Omega, the cloning stuff, paralleling that with Mando.
Yeah.
It's all happening. It's happening right before our eyes. No, I love it.
Yep.
I love it. Any final thoughts? Mando, Bad Batch.
I'm loving it.
I like that they're both. I like they're both on the same day. Like this is cool.
I know.
You know, like an hour and a half of
I know. I
Star
gotta wake
Wars
up,
stuff.
watch them both at 2 a.m. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm loving it. There's so much out there.
Watch them
We're
a
getting
couple
so much
times
Star
in the
Wars.
week. It's a little bit more of a commitment, you know.
Yeah.
It's true.
What's going to overlap later? Because Ahsoka's coming. What have they given us a time? Fall. That's all
Fall.
we know.
Fall, I think. Is
Fall
that
is
what,
Ahsoka.
is that what Rosario
I think
said?
What else
True.
is? What else is in there now?
We're gonna have Visions.
Visions. Well, Skeleton Crew doesn't have a.
Skeleton Crew. I don't remember if
I
they
don't
gave
know
That
out.
if
came up
there's
in Filoni's
Yeah,
Titanic moment.
I'll bet you they announce it
He
at Star
talked
Wars
about-
Celebration coming up.
Okay.
I'll bet
He
you
mentioned
they
the
have some-
Titanic moment. He called it the Titanic moment. Talked
Yes.
about Skeleton Crew in the context of that discussion.
And said there will be overlapping characters.
Overlapping
Skeleton
characters.
Crew takes place in the Mandoverse timeline.
There you go.
Like
yeah.
it's not a different time period. It's taking place in Mandoverse. I think.
Yeah.
There's some overlap. So
I'm excited
there'll
about
be some
that.
Very
character
excited.
overlap. It's all happening. Any? Let's close out with any possible predictions for
Thrawn.
next week. For next week.
Oh, next week. I don't know about that.
No.
I can't see that far ahead.
I
For next week.
Next week, Mando episode
Um,
or Bad Batch.
Next week.
I know my prediction.
Next week, Bo-Katan becomes an apostate again.
ooh.
She's
Yeah.
she's over that.
I think that next week, we spend the whole episode with IG-11.
Looking for his own parts.
And
No,
Bad baby.
I think that we do see. I think I'll go set it right there. I think that we see her not. I think her going along with the group, but we see more of what her maybe clearer motivations are, as far as I think we see
the
some.
armor also was totally bashing her in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Bo-Katan.
Right.
Oh yeah,
So it's
And
weird
she-
that she
and
would just
she-
be like, "Oh, you're accepted."
And
Nah,
she
something's
called
happening.
it a
That's
cult.
the-
going down.
But that is the way, right? As long as
Yeah.
when you're in
As
it,
long as you bathe in the living water.
exactly when you're in a society like that, it's less about what you necessarily about what you think all the
done or
time,
what
but it's
you've done.
about
It's,
how you
yeah.
act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you walk the walk, that's what. So as soon as you mess
But
up,
now
though,
that they know,
boom, you're out.
Now that they know the living waters are there and it's not myth, why aren't they taking their helmets all the time and just take their midnight bath in the waters and they'll be good for the next day?
Don't they
Seriously.
question the armor? Like, wait a minute, you told us this place was destroyed. We're living here in this hole in the ground,
moving our
but
place
it's
from-
not. It's not destroyed.
It's- or
you,
toxic.
You don't know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah, what do I mean toxic? It's
Yeah.
not cursed. It's not poison. You
No,
don't know
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ah.
do.
And they'll
I've
start
been
taking their
there.
helmets off and chucking them in the water. And then the mosasaur comes and eats them. There's another one.
I want to hear.
That's
I wanna
my
hear Armor
prediction.
go, Bo-Katan. You will bow before me because I make armor. You are the leader of our people,
The
but you are
hands
no
rise.
more. Have you taken a bath?
Prediction?
I took a bath. Then you are a Mandalorian again.
Mandalorian again.
I took my helmet off. And you're a Mandalorian no more. Just kidding. You are.
You are a Mandalorian. Wait. You are no longer. You are. Then you know.
Austin Powers. You will not.
You
will not-
You
you
will not.
You will stop that.
This would be in Spaceballs.
This totally would be.
This is the
Prediction.
way.
My prediction. I think that. I think that we get the whole crew going to Mandalore.
Oh.
Oh, I like it.
All right.
They
They're
all
going
go
to
see
Mandalore.
the
They're
truth.
going.
Yep, I think that now that she's been the armor has received proof that they have been in the living water, that they go and investigate now as a crew.
Let me
Do
ask
you
you
think
something.
anyone
then.
will challenge
Sorry.
Mando for the Darksaber? They get there. They're on Mandalore.
I mean,
Big
anybody
dude.
steps up to
You know,
challenge him.
Vizsla's always
Again.
trying to.
It's like,
yeah.
boom,
Same guy.
we're literally on Mandalore.
Yeah.
We could start afresh again, and someone looks
Paz
at him and says,
Vizsla.
I can be the leader of
It'd be a
Mandalore.
Black
We
Panther
can
moment.
rebuild. I'm going to challenge you. Let's go right now.
Yeah. He might.
You know, Vizsla's always trying to.
Yeah, he's just, it's too much
Exactly.
Always
family,
wants
too much
to.
family roots.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're too deep.
Here's a question, though. Now that we're wrapping up, perfect time for a deep, thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
If they live
Cliffhanger.
on Mandalore and the waters are accessible, can they take their helmets off every day and just
That's what,
bathe?
that's what I
Ooh.
said.
Did you say that?
That's what
like
I
it.
said. Why
I
don't they
missed
just
it.
bathe every night in the living
Yeah.
waters?
I mean, you should take a bath every day anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Why can't they? Yeah.
I would imagine it gets kind of stinky under there.
All that armor, it's got
Just
to.
the thought.
It's got
Complexion
to.
I
is
did think it was
impeccable for
interesting.
wearing a helmet all the time.
He said, I didn't think it was that deep, and she said it wasn't.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. The seismic.
So I guess
the-
everything that happened just it changed
Wow.
the whole, which is maybe what opened up the mythosaur to even be. Maybe it was always just underneath. Or
It's
something.
always been there,
just yeah.
but like the
Prediction:
Balrog.
Let's
Yeah.
hear it, Nate. Yeah, there's a lot of
Ahsoka
Balrog, man.
next episode.
Really?
Really?
All
Oh
right.
wait, because isn't Filoni directing the next episode?
I heard that
Is
he.
he?
I
Hear
heard
that?
that he co-wrote the next episode.
Well, that's why maybe Thrawn
That's-
could be.
So I
Oh.
think
He's a Thrawn.
Because
guy.
Thrawn, yeah, he did the Thrawn, obviously.
He did.
With
I mean,
Rebels. Yeah.
as
We'll
far
see.
as yeah,
That'd be
Let's see.
awesome.
canonically.
Well, is it a coincidence that
Canonically.
Bo-Katan is a night
I like
owl
Ickly.
and an
Ickly.
owl always follows Ahsoka? Is that not an odd
True.
Yeah.
the
That's
connection there?
true.
It's just
yeah,
a
there's
coincidence.
a little bit of.
But I do think, the reason I also
like
say that too with Ahsoka, not just because of that, but Bo-Katan has clearly remained, kept the relationship with Ahsoka, because in last
That's right.
season, when Mando asks for a Jedi, she knows where Ahsoka is.
Yes.
It's not like, well, I knew Ahsoka once, but good luck finding her.
I don't know
It's
where she
it's
is.
go here, you'll find. I know where she is right now.
Exactly.
Which means they're obviously they keep in touch
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
They're connected somehow.
Yep.
So it's like I know where she is. So if something goes down and they need her or whatever, for whatever
Ahsoka's
reason,
calling Kevlar like, "Daggone it, she's not picking up."
it's Fulcrum.
Huh.
It's Fulcrum now. I go by
It's Fulcrum,
Fulcrum.
The whole castle's destroyed.
But
I love
yeah,
it.
I think we might get Ahsoka next episode.
That would be cool. All right,
Could be.
Thrawn, Ahsoka.
Plus, they got to start
Mandalore.
building up.
Apostate, Ahsoka.
Group going to
They
Mandalore.
got to
Go to
start
Mandalore.
building
Group
up
field trip.
Ahsoka before the show. They can't have her in the last season, not be in this season right before her show.
gotta
comes
ramp it
out,
up.
right?
Gotta
They
ramp
gotta
it up.
promote the show somehow by putting her in
Ramp it
Mando.
up.
So-
Ramp.
I just
Anyway,
want
there
more
you have it.
Gaffigan.
Episode 3 review, The Convert. and Bad Batch review. So let us know your guys' thoughts. If you're listening to this back, you're watching it back, don't, drop a review. Let us know your comments and what you're looking forward to. Maybe drop your Mando Maybes. Maybe drop your Mando Maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and smash that notification bell. And as always, may the Force be with you.
I've said it so many times today, but I'm never full. I'm reckon I'm hungry.
I am surrounded by imbeciles.
He is a moron.
He is a moron.
You're gonna be quiet over there.
That's a terrible one to say.